Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter, and this is James.
Hello!
And today we're talking about Volume 6 of Oshi no Ko. Quick summary for this volume. It picks up right where the previous volume ended, with Aqua's panic attack during the Tokyo Blade rehearsal. Then we see how Melt doesn't want to drag the show down with his lacking acting skills and how he's kind of struggling with that. And the friction continues to build between Kana and Akane as the rehearsals finish, and we move on to the show's premiere, where we continue with Melt's stuff, kind of there during the show, and the volume ends with Kana and Akane battling it out as actors on stage.
Yep.
That was a very fun volume, I thought.
Um, I don't know if I say fun.
Well, maybe
I don't know if
fun
I
is the
say
wrong
fun.
word, but good. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have thoughts, but we can go into it later.
Interesting. Very well. And actually, well, before we dive into the character discussions this time, I just want to shed a little bit of light on the little two bonus pages at the end of this book,
Oh yes.
which I guess in and of itself, at least to me, wasn't all that exciting. But what made me really happy about it was to see the fact that Akasaka must have been the one who illustrated that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, especially now that Kaguya-sama, the manga, has ended, it's nice to see his art, even though it's just brief.
Agreed. And I don't know, just it's refreshing to see the character art for these characters in Akasaka style.
Yeah,
And kind of see how how they are similar to some of his characters from Kaguya-sama Love is War. For
for sure.
example,
Mm-hmm.
I think Kana looks like Miko,
Uh-huh.
I'd say.
I agree.
Akane kind of looks like Kei, kind of.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Aqua,
Mm.
do you see the K?
I see the K now that you say it. I thought of Hayasaka.
Oh, you know what?
But
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I think they have kind of similar eyes, so I can see both.
Yeah. And then, but Aqua is clearly Shirokane. Like it's almost a
For
blatant
sure.
ripoff.
I know, I thought that too. Like, very similar.
uh, Pretty great.
Yeah, it's
But
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a funny bonus thing.
Mm.
Honestly, it just felt like you said, just felt better to see Akasaka style there
Hmm.
than um really any of the content that was in it.
Yeah. Uh, but it made me happy. All right, then, let's start with the characters, beginning with Aquamarine Hoshino. We learned that his struggles with PTSD have been ongoing since Ai's death, and it's been really rough for him, and that he's really been struggling with it ever since, like up until now, even now. But he's trying to keep it a secret from Ruby.
Hmm.
Like he doesn't want to worry her or dig those memories up for her or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess I struggle to understand not so much what he's going through, but how he's overcoming it. Does that make sense? Because he's saying that okay, well, in order to overcome it, I just gotta be an actor that or that have to act emotionally like no one else can, even though I can't act emotionally. Like it's like this strong contradiction, and maybe it'll just come down to sheer power of will pushing through it, and he's just in internal mental pain
Hmm.
whenever he acts now. I don't
Oof.
know. I don't know what the
Right.
conclusion's going to be, and I'm expecting that to be resolved in the next volume, or
Yeah.
acknowledged at least, I should
Right.
say.
Yeah. I definitely hope it gets acknowledged, or at the very least, like clearer presented to us,
Uh huh.
because yeah, like this volume really seems to kind of establish that his acting has never been fueled by emotion because he does like he's afraid of acting emotionally because if he does, then it might trigger the PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Like his whole life, he's been afraid of his own emotions because of that, and I think that extends to his like regular life as well. It's not just in the acting, but also in regular life where he's afraid of acting emotionally. As we've known Aqua, like he is, or at least seems very emotionless. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
maybe like this may be the explanation for it. Why he comes across that way is because he's just afraid of the emotions in all aspects of life.
Hey, if he can get rid of his emotionless vibes that he has that I hate, then
Yeah.
great. All he'll jump up my character list, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Um,
same.
I don't see that happening, but uh, I do think that it's an interesting position the story puts itself in, having this character that's been so emotionless for a majority of the story, and then
Mm,
have that kind of be really the crux of his issue, or I guess just a side effect of his upbringing,
yeah.
and maybe it needs to change. We'll see.
I wonder. I mean, because like to be fair, I guess he wasn't overly emotional even in his previous life. Like, but maybe he
Uh,
was a bit more
I
emotional
think he
though,
was
right?
more. I think he was normal. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
think he
I
was
guess that's fair.
more
Yeah. uh,
yeah average than he is now.
but then I'm also trying to think of like what was he like in his baby life before I died. Was that more emotional than he got after I's death, or was it about the same?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel he definitely was not like a normal baby. He was much more composed and mature.
Yeah.
And so maybe that kind of gives off a more emotionless personality. But I think, you know, he I think he still had more emotion than he does now. Like he showed more.
Yeah, I like to think that because then this really would be the explanation for it, and that if he would somehow work through this PTSD and the fear of his own emotions, then hopefully we might be able to see a more emotional Aqua, and that would be very nice.
I agree. And ultimately I think it is going to happen if he's going to be this world famous, or maybe within Japan famous actor.
Hmm.
He's got to have to have some sort of emotion, or at least overcome this PTSD in some way.
Mm.
This line that he says as he's kind of talking to himself in the mirror: "If I can't make my wounds work for me, I've got no right to talk big." What does he mean by make these wounds work for me? Is that using the emotions that you feel as you think of I, and put it into your acting, which is fine, absolutely. Like that's a great method, but also is it's kind of like one dimensional, or at least it's a certain spectrum that doesn't cover, happiness and and those other things. So is he
Mm.
just kind of a one note actor in that sense?
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
right.
I'm thinking too much into it, but it does kind of confuse me where they're going with this.
uh, yeah, and I mean I do feel very similarly. It's like I mean I guess he's using that pain to fuel his character right now, and I guess it works with the character that he's playing.
I think it would.
But it wouldn't work for just any character.
Yeah.
So yeah, so far it works, but we'll see how it works in the future.
Yeah.
And so far he's able to contain it and not have a panic attack. But
That's true.
who knows if that's at any moment maybe it could flow over and he would have a panic attack on stage. Like the premiere isn't over yet. He may still have an incident like that. I don't know.
He could, but maybe he uses that as part of the character, and so the audience thinks that's just
Yeah.
him acting.
Oof, that's terrible.
You
But
know,
also, yeah.
I have heard some in my theater days. I've heard some people talk about, you know the audience not being able to tell if that was real or not. Like, wait,
Oh,
was that supposed to happen, or things
mm,
like that.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I could see that being an instant where he has the panic attack, but he's able to still trudge forward, and then the audience just eats it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like something that could happen.
I mean, with this story, yeah.
But it seemed like he was actively working on trying to improve it as he was.
Yeah.
He decided to practice the intensely emotional acting for the stage play because he understood that that's what this production needed, and kind of with that, it's probably both. Like he's doing both. He's doing it for the show, but he's also maybe in a way doing it for himself to kind of perhaps work on himself.
Mm, I like that. I like that.
But his motives are, or can be, hard to judge.
You know, speaking of that training, I thought it was interesting that he was training with Akane. Just that her style of acting is more method acting,
Mm.
very much becoming the character. That's not really what Aqua's doing. He's more so taking the approach of using his own emotions to fuel the character.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's honestly more Kana's style of acting.
Yeah.
But I guess that doesn't bother Akane because she's obviously still doing it. I mean, I don't think anything Aqua would do would bother that woman, but we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah.
But it would have been interesting to see Kana and Aqua acting in or at least um, teaching each other or whatever, or taking the lessons together.
Mm.
Maybe that would have been more similar in that sense. But anyway,
Mm.
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, like even if he's not like Aqua is not learning Akane's methods,
Mm-hmm.
or like her ways of acting, but he is trying to grow, and he even asked director Gotanda to come to watch the show to give him critique on the acting, like
That's true.
that seems like something pretty big, and according to Gotanda's monologues, like it doesn't seem like Aqua has ever been this serious about his acting before, and so I wonder what that means exactly. I had a couple of ideas. For one, I guess it like the most positive thing, kind of perhaps, could mean that Aqua is actually enjoying himself in his acting work, and he genuinely wants to improve and grow as an actor. I guess that is one potential option. Another one being that he's using this, as I was saying before, is using it as a way to process his PTSD, or like kind of has to work through that. Uh, or I guess he's just serious about it in order to impress the director of the stage play, in order to get close to that guy, his target, or his current target. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so and or maybe it's a mixture of all those three options, but I
Mm-hmm.
definitely could see a lot of different reasons for that.
I think he's always secretly believed or wanted to be an actor, but the as we've established, those PTSD moments have held him back,
Mm,
making him believe that he can't do it. But I think deep down he's always wanted to do it and finds enjoyment in it. It's just himself holding himself back.
mm,
So it's encouraging to see steps being made
absolutely.
as we see, and I agree with you that him wanting to have the director or the Taishi there is very nice, and yeah, I think he's always been willing or wanting to see from a critic's point of view how he did. I mean, there's a reason why he kept all those tapes,
Exactly right.
even if he didn't want to be in the room with them.
But he was cool with showing it to Akane, which I kind of was a little bit surprised by.
Yeah, and I think Gotanda was, or whatever his name is, was as well.
Yeah. Do you have any idea as to why he wanted to show that to Akane, or at least was okay with showing that to Akane?
Um, I mean, I think at that point it's like might as well, maybe.
I guess so.
I mean,
Yeah.
what? Why hide it?
Mm. Yeah. Honestly. Anything else on Aqua?
No, I think that's it.
Let's move on to Akane Kurokawa then. After learning about Aqua's PTSD, she imagines a very accurate scenario regarding Aqua and Ruby's relationship with Ai. Uh, kind of similarly as she's sort of done before regarding Ai and her having had children. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, it's just something that she made up in her head, so she doesn't take it as, or she doesn't view it as truth or anything like that. She just doesn't realize how accurate she is.
Now, I will say that she got a very big hint with Aqua muttering "I" in his sleep,
For sure.
and she heard that.
Mm.
So that, I mean, that's a pretty big thing, especially with Gotanda saying that he had a tragic experience in his youth.
Yeah.
So she's very good at putting those things together, very smart, as the bonus chapter also established.
Yeah, she is very smart.
And honestly, she probably could have had a career as a detective or some sort of police authority.
Definitely.
But she was able to put that together, and you're right, she kind of stumbles upon it. Whether or not she believes it, I think, is still kind of up in the air. I don't think she completely believes it at all. But I do think that it's too much of a coincidence for her not to be a little suspicious. So I think she just kind of waves it off as a silly daydream of mine or whatever she says.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I think she's starting to get a little suspicious of that. Not that it really matters in the long run. To her, if he was the son of this idol, what does it matter other than she now can feel closer to him because she knows the secret? But that's about it.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other reason.
Right. It's funny that like there is this part obviously that is like she doesn't know it even though she's figured it out, but she doesn't know it because she doesn't know that she's onto it that accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the part later on when she's talking to Aqua and he actually says kind of straight out, even though it's not like, well, he says that he's gonna kill someone and she offers to help him out, but that's also kind of unclear in a similar way. Like, does she actually, she probably doesn't think that he's serious completely, does she, or does she? I don't know. I'm unsure.
Bro, let me just tell you, major red flags when I read that. Just they went off, blaring. Red flags.
Oh.
Red flags. Like that is some obsessive, clingy, psychotic stuff right there. And they just kind of wave it off. It's like, no, like that is not good. You can't just say that.
I mean, yeah, or I could just chalk it up as Akane being very much of a romantic. Like, she's willing to do anything for her boyfriend and being on his side no matter what. Like,
well, not only her boyfriend, but the person who saved her life, and that's obviously something that she really credits Aqua with, yeah, understandably. But I think she thinks the world of him, and I don't know. It just it seems almost unhealthy. Dare I say?
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
But I don't think she's a terrible person. It's just these in this volume actually. There's these little moments where it seems that maybe she's a little more unhinged than I first thought.
Yeah.
Because not only that, later on or actually I think it's in the same chapter. Yeah. If we lose, I may get so frustrated that I'll die. What in the world? You can't just say that after your own experience, and then are you going to let that happen? Even though you're my boyfriend? Like, that is so manipulative.
I didn't think about that actually until now, but I think that maybe that's just a way, like a common way for her to express herself without it necessarily meaning much. Because I think she said something similar. I think it was near the end of the book when she, like in the flashback to when she was a kid, and she said like if I'd ever become friends with Kana, I'd be so happy that I would die, or something like that, or that I could die.
Oh,
I think she used a similar expression.
I didn't catch that. Let me see.
So maybe that just means that she just kind of uses that expression without it meaning actually having anything to do with
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's true. She did say that.
Mm.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, it is an expression at the end, but
Yeah.
all things considering, it is maybe not. I don't know. I mean, she's the victim, so I guess she really gets to decide how to take it and how to move on, I suppose. But to me, that seemed a little tactless, and not just tactless, but again, like I said, a bit of a red flag. But yeah, at the end of the day, I hope it's just her exaggerating there.
Right.
And maybe to your point earlier, maybe because she's exaggerating there, she gets a sense that Aqua's also exaggerating. So she exaggerates by saying, "I'll help you kill the person."
Precisely right. Like, oh, it's so hard to read her right now, but it's very fun, and I'm enjoying it.
But even after she says, I'd helped you kill them, she kind of doubles down on it in that it's not about whether it's right or not. It's about supporting you. I think I should accept you as you are, even if no one else does. Like that, I don't know. Like that seems not so much that she's a terrible person, but it seems like she's way too willing to accept Aqua or to accept the person who saved her for whatever they may be, even if they are the most terrible of people.
Yeah, and that she herself is seemingly willing to go down a
Right.
path like that very bad path.
Yeah.
For him, like it's kind of yandere vibes, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. I agree. Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
it was pretty fun to read, I'll admit.
Yeah. But she is also determined to beat Kana in the stage play, as she asks Aqua or for help with that. And initially, and I guess it still is, but initially I only saw it, as probably most readers would, as her like wanting to beat Kana, being like her wanting to come out as the bigger star by the end of the show, kind of, which is probably still true to a degree, but even more, and I think it becomes clear by the end of the book, by beating Kana, she means that she wants Kana to realize that she's been wrong and that she should return to the way that she used to do acting and to view acting. That's kind of, I guess, what Akane wants Kana to realize or to understand, and that would be Akane beating Kana.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting, or like, and it was elaborated on obviously at the end of the book there, their whole past together, and how in Akane's eyes Kana changed, and how she is doing it wrong right now. She should go back to what she used to do, and the way that Akane herself is doing currently. Like that's what Kana should be doing. And I think as I was taking my notes, I was like, I think I've changed my mind slightly since I took these notes that I'm gazing on here. When I was taking the notes, I was kind of thinking that yeah, she's probably going to be successful in that. At least, with time, she will be, and that Kana is probably already even on that path, which I probably still stand by. Kana is sort of on that path to a degree now, being among more talented actors where she can, as we talked about last discussion, I believe, where Kana can let loose and like act to her heart's content without holding herself back.
Mm.
So like I think Kana is technically already on her way anyway for that, but for Akane to have an influence, it's probably happening. But I actually, I unlike the me from 2 hours ago, I no longer think
Mm-hmm.
that Akane will be completely successful in this. I don't think Kana is gonna
Mm-hmm.
like turn back completely to what she used to be or to what Akane is currently, but rather she will find a middle ground. I think, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm talking little bit about Kana, but it's on this whole thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
Kana will find a middle ground between shining herself and helping the others to shine as well. Because I think that's what theater or acting in general is. Like it's about both giving and taking as a group of actors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can only give or only take as an actor. Like that's not that won't last.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kana may be able to find that good middle ground, hopefully, uh, right here. And maybe Akane is the one who needs to kind of tone down a bit and start giving more instead of only taking. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was a long rant. That wasn't
No,
perfectly
no,
well
no,
thought out,
no.
but I hope I made sense.
I agree, and I've been thinking about that as well,
Mm,
because it is kind of the climax or the I don't know what I'm trying to say. Basically, it's the finale of the volume.
right.
Um, and so it's all had a lot of the chapters have been kind of leading up to that moment. So what will be the conclusion there? I'm not sure. I don't think Akane is gonna get her way. Kana says that what bothers her about Akane's acting style is not that it's different from her, it's that she, being Akane, thinks that she's right, that her is the only way that you should act.
Mm,
And after seeing that flashback at the very end of the volume, I kind of see what she's saying. In that, I think the way that Akane does things is totally fine. But to have this kind of higher than thou sort of attitude
mm-hmm.
is almost akin to how Kana was when she was younger and how she thought she was better than everybody else. Um, and I know Akane as a person is not really like that, but I think she has gotten a little too much into her own head about being this genius actress, and thinks that everyone should do it the way she does, including Kana. And I think what could happen in the very end is that Kana potentially shows that you need a little bit of both, and a little give and a little take,
Mm-hmm.
and not just take up the whole spotlight at all times, like
Right.
maybe Akane's trying to push.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like it's Akane who's trying to teach a lesson here.
Yeah.
But really, I think she is the one in most need of a lesson because Kana, I think she is wiser when it comes to this. Sure, she is not
Yeah.
exactly where she should be, perhaps, but like because I do think she is giving more than she is taking at the moment. But I think she is
Mhm.
moving her way slightly to a good place there. Meanwhile, Akane is not there at all. Like she's only taking and barely giving as an actor.
Yeah. There was a moment earlier on in this arc where I think the director or somebody was commenting how Kana can finally be herself, and she's not having to downplay her acting skills because of the cast around her. Now that she has talent around her, she's able to flourish and you know really go all out. And I thought that was like the whole point of the, not the whole point, but one of the points of the previous volume
Mm,
or two, or whatever, for Kana.
yeah,
And so to have this where Akane is basically accusing her of still not doing that is rather it's really interesting. And I also
yeah.
think it would take away from some of the progress that Kana has made as a character, particularly her wanting to be an idol that would make anybody be her Oshi, or I guess Aqua in particular be her be yeah be her Oshi, or vice versa,
Or that she would
or she
be
would
his
be his
Oshi.
Oshi.
Yeah, yeah. Given her having had arcs now, both kind of an idol arc and a theater arc, kind of, I'm quite confident in the fact that Kana will continue to do both. Like she's not gonna like drop either of the two careers that she's having right now.
Not at all. And maybe there's a lesson to be learned by both characters here, Akane and Kana.
Surely, yeah.
You know, Akane is a good cook.
Yes.
You know, points to her for that. And we already talked about this, but we kind of glossed over how it got brought up. She asked Aqua why he wants to act. Obviously, we know that, but this is kind of news to her. He doesn't really say it like concretely, but he kind of just vaguely says, what if I wanted to kill somebody? What would you say? But, that is some progress, I guess, for Aqua, that, he's kind of giving his secret here. But for Akane, it shows that she certainly thinks there's more to his acting motivations than maybe meets the eye.
Precisely.
Like, she's definitely intrigued to understand what that is.
Yeah. But anything else on Akane?
No.
Then, let's talk next about Kana Arima. So she's picking up on these... she's picking up on how Akane's acting is saying, I'm right and you're not. And I was thinking, kind of how that could... Well, obviously, we know it is affecting Kana. But I was wondering, like, how it would affect kind of the story moving forward. And if the fact that Kana is picking up on those signs, or on that vibe, if it means that she actually will change to a degree after their current duel, or whatever you want to call it, or if it's just going to lead to them actually talking it out after the performance or something. Actually, I think I would like to see something like that, but maybe it would be hard. Maybe it would just end up like their big argument in this volume, which was brutal, by the way, and very funny. Excuse me, staff. A fan has gotten into the studio, and I'm scared.
I love that. I love that line. So great.
That was probably the best diss.
Yeah. That whole moment where she just goes off on the interview, just can't get enough of it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Akane idolized Kana. Not anymore. It's not the case anymore. But I think Kana, I mean, she says it herself. She has never thought of Akane being better than her.
Right.
Now, before their moment on stage, she does admit that Akane is certainly a genius of their time. Like, there's no doubt. Like, she admits she has skill, but she's still holding her ground that she can be just as good. Which you got to admire that confidence. After all these years.
Absolutely.
Was it wrong what young Kana did? Of course, young Kana did a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Verbally to people. I should clarify.
I mean, even present day Kana is not super nice in the way she speaks sometimes.
True.
But True. She was worse when she was a kid, you're right.
Yeah. Akane goes into like books to understand Kana's psyche.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and maybe probably led to the person she is
for sure
today. But I think she makes a good evaluation in that it certainly was her career kind of crumbling before her eyes that was bothering her at the time.
Yeah.
And that's what made her lash out at Akane. Not that that's really an excuse, but it gives you an understanding into why she was in that mental state. So I can understand why she'd be that way, because she's, it didn't seem like she was truly upset at her. She just was kind of the target at the time, the
Yeah.
nearby collateral, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and
But
if anything, maybe Akane was more upset with kind of the system of like auditions or like whatever, like
yeah,
all of that. The entertainment industry. That's the villain of the story.
yeah,
More so than Kana, yeah. Because
yeah.
really, at the end of the day, Kana in that instance, she's just a child who's in need of attention or like and feeling needed
hmm
by people is kind of what she's craving. As just the little kid that she was, like you can't blame her.
I agree.
But Kana did some very smooth improvisation in order to save the scene when someone else's line got cut off by some noise. Like I love that. Like it's not surprising that she has that skill, not at all. But I just love that as yet another example of Kana's great skill to kind of act for the group as a whole and kind of to elevate the entire production through her skill.
Yeah, she's a professional.
And I think yeah, this is just a perfect example of that. And it's something that probably Akane wouldn't have been able to do as smoothly.
Well,
I think.
maybe.
No, well, I think
I'm not sure.
I like I don't doubt that she's a good actor, and she could have maybe found a solution to it, but I don't think she would have been able to do it as smoothly as Kana because I feel like Kana's kind of been doing this thing where she acts not just for herself but for others. She's been doing that for so long that she kind of
hmm
she's an expert at that. Meanwhile, Akane hasn't been doing that type of acting. She's mostly acted for herself. She dives and disappears into her characters, but I don't think she looks much outside of herself, either to the other actors on stage, nor as much to the audience. Which this was ultimately what Kana acted for. She was acting for the audience because the audience wasn't able to pick up on what was being said, so Kana found a
hmm
way to deliver that to the audience in a different way.
Mm.
That's why I think that this is something that Kana did much better than any other actor in the cast could have done.
You know, that's a good point. Would a method actor who's deep into their character
Mm,
and is therefore kind of lost in the world while on stage,
right.
would they rearrange their lines to acknowledge the mistake of another actor? Or would that break their character?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I I don't know.
It's interesting.
You know, so maybe in that situation, like you suggested, maybe Akane wouldn't do that. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Didn't think about that. Because to me,
Hmm.
it seems like that would be the pro move anyway. You
Yeah,
know, to try to help out your fellow actor and give the the give rather than the take.
exactly.
So that's great. We're learning so much. We're diving so well into this. I love it.
Yes, I love it too.
That there was a couple of kind of poses. We saw a bit of Kana's tongue in this volume for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
There was like the evil Kana tongue
Yeah.
that was super long,
Yeah.
and then there was a cute pose of her idol version with her tongue out.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
kind of,
right.
I guess that's kind of her look. Maybe I don't know,
Maybe.
her playful look.
It's very cute.
That's all.
All right. Then next, let's talk about Melt Narushima, one of my new favorite characters since last volume, I guess.
Absolutely.
But he's continuing to grow, and I love to see it. Um, it seemed like a pretty nice move of him, I thought initially, and I guess still do. When he interrupted Sakuya from exchanging line address with Minami, since she didn't seem too keen on doing that, so it felt like he was kind of saving her from that.
Yeah,
So that was nice.
did her a solid.
Yeah, and then he explained his reasoning to Sakuya that it would like it's a bad move to go out with girls who could cause issues for their work.
Mm.
But it was revealed late, like shortly thereafter, that he had made plans with Ruby. So I guess he's a hypocrite like that. But um, I can still appreciate like the way he kind of saved Minami at the very least.
Yeah, I did think that was kind of confusing. Like he did that, and then he went back and exchanged contact with Ruby. Is like what contradiction.
uh,
I mean, I guess that's part of his big brain plans. I guess. Although I didn't honestly, I kind of thought that was out of character for him. I didn't
which part of it?
to pursue a girl.
Ah,
I didn't think he'd go. I mean, I guess Ruby is just that beautiful looking, I suppose, but
yeah.
I don't know. I partly assumed he was the kind of person who would wait for someone to come to him and vice
Right,
versa.
as that was kind of part of what was explained in his backstory,
Yeah.
and how he was just that popular that he never had to like make any moves necessarily. Everything just kind of worked out for him anyway.
You know, based on the whole exchange, I think Melts might remain a character in the story. You know,
Mm,
like an actual somewhat minor character, not never to be seen again or even in passing, but maybe he'll actually form a friendship with the Bikomachi group
yeah,
or even just the high school. Although I don't know how old he is, but I forget his age. I
same.
think he's in high school too. But
Mm.
yeah, so I think that has potential to lead to something. You probably asked me that last volume. I would have said nah, no way.
Right, because the last volume was kind of his return, and it was an unexpected return. uh,
Hmm.
but now he's had a decent development for 2 volumes in a row, and yeah, I definitely would love to see him stick around, at least to some extent.
And he's starting to get in contact with some of the other characters as well, and that generally means that he will or that the character will stick around because he has these connections
Right.
for the plot to explore. But I don't know. I could be overthinking it, but
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see, you know, after the stage play is done and they go on to separate projects. I don't know. Maybe he ends up hanging out with one of the girls or even Aqua.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he and Aqua kind of share in that in a sort of similar struggle. Not exactly the same, but how they are the two weakest actors in the group right now.
They do both feel like outcasts in that way.
Yeah. But I really was enjoying to continue to following along with Melt's struggles about this whole thing, how he is kind of the
Hmm.
weak link, or the weakest link at least, in the theater group. And then Kaburagi seemed to really like him. I mean, well, we kind of knew that he did because he likes pretty kids, I guess. Um, um, and yeah, like Kaburagi is the reason why Melt made it into this cast. And other than the good looks, Kaburagi seemed to have faith that Melt would do that all that he could to improve, I guess, in some way, even though it was probably very much a guess, or like barely even a guess. I don't know exactly what he was thinking. Um, but apparently Melt has been working really hard to better himself, even since
Yeah.
before like this whole thing. Like since Sweet Today ended, he's been working to improve. And I don't know if Kaburagi knew about that. Maybe Kaburagi had heard that Melt had been starting to take acting more seriously after Sweet Today, so maybe that's partially why he added him to the cast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out. He pulled some cool stunt moves, and Abiko was impressed.
Yeah. Pulled a cool stunt move and yelled really loud. That's how you act, children. That's that's the key to acting.
Hey, maybe he'll become like a stunt actor or something, or stunt
Oh,
double
that'd be kind of cool.
instead. Like maybe that's his future.
But you gotta admire his work ethic.
Yeah.
Something that we didn't know about this character really until this point.
Hmm.
Um, and I think Kaburagi must have seen that in his in Melt's acting or his practicing after that.
Yeah.
That bloody sword from practicing that throw, and then finally really putting his emotion into that one line or scene. Just kind of it made it all work for him.
Yeah, it was kind of funny how like the part where he was actually acting well at the very end there, he was able to do it because he was just like he could just relate to the characters so much. And I mean, that's valid acting. It is. It's just
Yeah,
it's just a little
absolutely.
bit sad that it was that part of the character that he could relate to so much.
It is, yeah, that is kind of sad. But I think it's certainly progress that he's able to notice,
Hmm.
hey, I can relate to this character,
Right.
and then use that for his acting. So he
Precisely.
he's definitely come a long way since, gosh, sweet something. What
Sweet
was it again?
today.
Sweet today. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely on the right way, on the right path.
Yeah. At this point, he's very easy to cheer for. Probably one of the easiest characters to cheer for,
For sure. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
I agree. And it seems like even Yoriko's view on Melt might be improving after this. But perhaps
Yeah,
we haven't seen
we'll
anything
see.
explicitly, but
Yeah.
I think there's a decent possibility there. So I'm happy for him,
Mm-hmm.
for for that as well.
Yeah.
But anything else on Melt?
No, that's it.
All right then. Let's talk about any other characters that you wanna discuss.
So I'll bring up Ruby.
Hmm?
She kind of went dark when the idea of Aqua getting a girl pregnant was brought up.
Yeah.
Um, really upset by it. I understand getting upset by it, but this was one of the dark moments of the manga. It feels like
Right.
interesting how the anime will pull it off. I don't know if they're gonna make a joke out of it, but I assume it's in relation to what happened with because she was a teen mom.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just that whole fiasco is not something that Ruby would want. I mean, even without that background, I think generally speaking, that's just not a not a good thing.
Mm.
But then again, that almost implies that she's aware of Aqua's maturity. I forget. Did we establish that she? Yeah, she knows that he's a reincarnated person. We know. Yeah,
I
she knows
think
that.
that's
That's right.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah,
They each know
yeah,
that much, but not more than that, right?
right. So at the very least, she has this expectations of him to not ruin someone's or you know hurt someone's life like that. So I guess that could be it. But I don't know. It did seem rather dark. Her reaction. So I'm not sure what entirely that means. And she had a very
Right.
worried expression on her face as well.
Yeah, like it's definitely a very important thing to her. Like or like the that question is very important to her. But she does trust him. Like she expresses on the page after that
Yeah.
she does fully trust him. Like she's not worried that he would do anything like that.
Well, she does fully trust him, but let's see if I can find.
Oh, but yeah, you're right. She does still look worried, kind of afterward, or
Yes.
like somehow
Yes.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah. Minami notices that. So
Mm,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to read it, but it is dramatic to say the least.
absolutely.
And then the other character I have is Abiko Sensei.
Yeah.
Understandably very nervous. I like that, and I hope she likes it.
Mm.
There was interaction with her and Goa,
There was,
and I
yes.
was like, "Do I smell a ship a brewing?" Is kind of what I was feeling. I mean, I tried to put those thoughts out of my mind last volumes. Like they're just working together. There's something there. But that interaction, I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't help to start letting those thoughts fester. So,
Yeah.
if they decide to start dating, thumbs up from me.
I mean, I absolutely want to see because I don't want this to be or like once this arc is over, I don't want to say goodbye to these mangaka characters. I want to see more of both of them,
Oh, true. Hmm.
and I think Abiko still has that character journey to make, like to make connections with people because that's something that she probably needs, and obviously Goa is the the perfect guy for that. Like, or at least, one of the people that she should get to know. At least somehow. Whether it's friendship or more. Somehow I'd like to see it.
I agree. So that's just my observation there.
Yeah.
And that's what I got for characters.
Great. So nothing on Sakuya Kamoshida? Oh, I didn't really take much notes there either, but he was noteworthy, sort of, I guess. A douchebag, but a great actor.
Yeah, I appreciate his acting chops. He's a jerk. I don't really expect him to be anything other than that.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll have some sort of friendship with Melts now going forward, and maybe there'll be a resolve for his terrible ways. But I'm not too curious about him.
Yeah, no, like even the narration seems to kind of explain, like, or kind of describe that guy as not a great guy. So I don't think he's gonna like have a change of heart like that.
Honestly, I'm more interested in the other the Lilalai guy, Himekawa Taiki. I really want to learn more about him, and I feel like we haven't had the chance to.
No, yeah, not at all. Like, it's funny, he plays the main character in the show that they're putting up, but we've barely gotten to know the guy at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely hope to see him and get to know him some. That would be nice. Whether it's this arc or the future. Very well then. That's all the characters. So let's talk a little bit about potential predictions that we might have. I'll start off simple. I think the next volume we're definitely, I think, moving past. We're moving past the premiere, as well as I think all of the other remaining shows that they're setting up.
Yeah.
I think we're moving past all of that. Hopefully, Aqua will finally start to actually interact with the director, Toshiro Hindaichi.
I know.
Because like that's been this whole thing, like that's his whole reason for being here. I definitely want to see that in the next volume.
Agreed. Yeah, it's about time. Like,
really?
Yeah, all this teenage drama is great and all, but let's move on. Let's move the plot on. Yeah, I share in all of those predictions as well. I think Kana, going back to our Kana Akane discussion, I think Kana will win, quote unquote, in the end, but they'll treat it like a stalemate, Oh. I think Akane will learn from Kana maybe learns from Akane, and it's kind of like, well, we'll just call it a draw, and then they leave their separate ways or whatever. That's kind of my feeling in it. I don't think there's going to be a winner.
Right.
Although if there is going to be one, I do think it'll lean toward the Kana side of things, because I think Akane is just too into herself right now.
Right.
When it comes to acting.
Mm-hmm. No, I do agree.
Too full of herself.
She's too full of herself, and she is less experienced, kind of. As well.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point.
Like I think Kana is much more of a versatile and kind of wise actor. Not necessarily in like how she acts, but like, or like how she plays her roles, but in how she acts like in the big group, which is super important, much more important than I think Akane understands. But yeah.
Agreed. After the premiere, Yoriko will forgive Melt, at least just a little bit, and acknowledged him as an actor.
For sure.
And say, I finally see you as one.
I was definitely going to say that as well. Like, he deserves that validation kind of from her.
I think so.
Like, that would be so rewarding.
It's kind of been leading up to that, right? Like, this animosity that she's held towards him has been pretty thick.
Very.
and very awkward actually.
Oh boy, yeah.
And then Abigo Sensei will be very excited about the play. I think I'm
Yes.
sure she'll love it.
Right, I think so.
And
yeah, for sure.
I think she'll be ecstatic with Goa. Like they'll meet each other afterwards along with Yoriko. Be like, oh my gosh, we're so great, it's so great. They'll have a little moment, and then Abiko gets embarrassed and hides behind it.
I can
Very
absolutely see that exact scenario playing out. Yeah, they celebrate with like, I don't know, go have a beer or something.
I can see that.
Yeah, this will be, I'm sure, a successful adaptation as opposed to the Sweet Today adaptation. So it'll be nice in that way.
Yeah. Could you imagine if the final acts of the play is just this dumpster fire, like everything goes wrong? Oh gosh, that'd be so sad. I mean, it would be interesting.
I guess,
like
yeah.
To the story, I suppose, but I don't think that the case. I think
no, I don't.
It'll go off like most nights do it in the theater.
Yeah, it'll
without
be good.
a hitch.
It'll be so good.
So what if Yandere Akane? Like, what if that is an actual thing?
Oh yeah.
Yep. And she eventually tries to get Aqua to talk about and reveal that she was his mother, and she gets worked up about it and revengeful, and somehow figures out who his father is, and is like, okay, here's his head on a silver platter, now love me.
Oh no.
Now that's obviously too far, but it doesn't seem like it'd be too much of an ask for her.
I mean, fair, right, because I mean, yeah, she is incredibly intuitive and like perceptive and everything. We know this.
Yeah,
she's already close to figuring out Aqua's secret.
Yeah.
So once she does that, which could happen soon, potentially, then maybe maybe as you said, like maybe she would figure out the murder mystery quicker than Aqua would, and just she probably wouldn't get it done herself, but she might involve herself at the very least.
Yeah. Realistically speaking, she probably would get involved in somehow. Maybe to the point where it annoys Aqua, or maybe it creeps him out or something. It's like, that
would be interesting.
I agree. The creeping out part, maybe not. I think he's pretty gung ho about anything, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe she just goes too far. I don't know. It would be nice for Aqua to have someone else to lean on, to rely on for this. Although that would not bode well for Kana shippers like myself and like us.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. Who knows what twists and turns the story will take. But if they do start working together, then he would actually get the use out of her that he kind of intended. That's the whole reason why he decided to keep her around in his life. Was because he realized that she's very good at figuring stuff like that out.
True.
So it's got to be paid off at some point. Somehow.
Now it's kind of icky.
Yeah.
That makes it sound icky.
I know.
Lastly for me is, I'm gonna keep on asking for this one. Mem-cho arc win. I like Mem-cho character. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
I think even the anime kind of really punch that into me.
So yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I want more of her.
I think we'll get, or I hope we'll get a Ruby arc before a Mem-cho arc. It just kind of,
I agree.
It would be more fair, kind of.
Yeah, I agree.
But I want a Mem-cho arc as well at some point.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, whatever the next big arc is, I believe there's a decent chance that the next volume will set it up for us at the very end of it, kind of.
I would think so.
It'll tease the coming arc at the end of that.
Been wrong before, but I do think, we're ending the climax of this arc, and there's no need to, show all of the runs of this play.
No, right.
The premiere is enough.
It is absolutely enough. Do you have any other predictions?
No other predictions.
Then I have one prediction, which is something I came across some fan theory, a little fan theory online,
Oh.
which I loved. So I had to bring it to the podcast.
Okay. Let me hear it.
It regards the identity of Pion,
Oh.
and
No.
that it,
What are you saying?
that it could be a character from Kaguya-sama Love's War.
Oh, okay. Whew.
Wait, I'm just curious. What
Interesting.
were you thinking?
I was like, what if he's the father? Like, what are you talking about?
Oh no, that would
That would be one of the dumbest twists.
that would be horrible. But
Ugh.
no. But that Pion's identity is a character that we know from Kaguya-sama Love's War, being Kazuno.
Interesting.
I just kind of saw. I can't remember how or where I stumbled upon it actually. But I just saw like just that, basically that statement. What if Pion is Kazuno or something like that? And I was like, then I didn't read any more theories. I just saw that one, and then
Oh, you mean Kazeno?
Kazuno, yeah, the guy in
Yeah.
the Pep Squad. And then I went back into Kaguya-sama, and there's the part where Kazuno has this kind of turn where he becomes like a training freak, or kind of he starts working out a lot, and he becomes muscular, and he even on top of that gets like an idol obsession. Like his room in the dorms is like full of posters of idols, and I don't know, man. Seems like I could be pointing to him being Pion.
That's a good one. Oh, dude, get this. While the theory remains unconfirmed, both characters share the same Japanese voice actor for the anime adaptation of both series.
That's right. I did look that up as well, or figure that, or find that out as well. It's just been so long now since I did this. I actually I found this out when I was doing preparation for our final Kaguya-sama discussion for the podcast, because I had to Google Kazuno for something, and then I found out that, yeah, so same voice actor even, so like that's a huge hint.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I like it when a theory comes together. I like that.
So it's probably the case. I feel like it's very, very strong possibility, right?
Yeah. Well, good for him, man. He's doing well as a influencer.
He's doing very well. Oh boy.
It makes me wonder how Kobachi is doing nowadays.
Oh, if she would have still been dating that guy.
Well,
like, what is she missing out on?
Well, just what is she doing?
Just right. Yeah. There's a lot of Kaguya-sama characters that I hope to find out their fates, kind of, in Oshinoko.
Yeah.
In one way or another. And it seems that we may or may not have found out Kazuno's at least current occupation.
Yeah, that was not... Kazuno was not one of the characters I would expect that for, but I love it anyway. I love what he did.
Yeah. But yeah, that was all for predictions and speculations and whatnot, I suppose.
Yep.
Lovely. Well, I think I'm all... I've run out of words to say, pretty much. Do you have anything you want to say before we end this episode?
I guess I'll just mention that I thought this volume was good.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't particularly blown away by it, but not every volume's gonna do that, of course, right? But there was good moments for Melt. Obviously, he really went up there in my favorite characters. Kana was hilarious, but I am kind of getting tired of the portrayal of acting be so melodramatic, and I don't know. Something about it is just
fair.
Makes me roll my eyes so much. It's the intensity put into it in something that's not supposed to be that intense sometimes. You know, like,
Yeah.
yes, they're fighting, so that's supposed to be intense. Like, you know, the sword fighting. I get that. But, you know, it's just so over the top that it kind of drives me nuts. But that's fine.
Yeah.
I do think that I may not be enjoying it as much as I was at the beginning, particularly with the first volume. It does feel like the pace of where I want it to be is just keeps on slowing down. It's like almost becoming something that I was not expecting it to become as I started reading it. I'm not hating it. I still like it, but maybe it's not as incredible as I thought initially. But that could change in the next volume as they move on to another arc. I'm not sure. And I still love Kana. Like, even if I started to hate the story, I would still read for Kana. Kana is one of the best characters Akasaga has written.
Good.
In my opinion.
Yes. Agreed.
Just so adorably fun to watch. And it's not like, you know, the sickly cute type character. It's just a character that's really fun and just grows on you.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I get that because I get that one might get out of it or like not be as into this volume, for example, as the first or the second. Personally, I'm still very much entertained though, and like I feel like even though the story is not particularly streamlined, I guess, because it's not. I still think I'm enjoying the characters that are introduced, and I'm enjoying the characters that are sticking around, and I still think the story it's still centered around the entertainment industry, pointing out flaws in it in various ways.
True.
While giving us, in my opinion, some fun / engaging drama. So I'm personally I'm all in for it so far.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm not enjoying it entirely, but I think it's part of the reason is that I'm comparing it to Kaguya-sama in terms of just how much I enjoyed that one. Right. And obviously these are two different stories, but I don't know, I guess because it comes from the same author, my expectations are just as high.
That's understandable.
I feel the same way. I felt the same way with Yukimura's work with the planets. You know, how I didn't rate that very high. I mean, I rated like a 7 or something like that, which is good, but it's nowhere near the 10 I would give Vinland Saga, right?
Right.
So I think there can be expectations set by what I've read previously, of course. But anyway,
right.
just what I'm feeling.
Understandable. And hopefully with future arcs that may not be as acting focused, maybe the whole acting being portrayed in like maybe not the best way, maybe we'll be rid of that in future arcs potentially. Maybe not every future arc, but some future arcs we won't have that as much.
It's funny, I can stomach more of the idol stuff than the acting one. I don't know. Maybe I see too much of myself in the cringe acting. I don't know. But I'm still enjoying myself. It's still good.
Great. Well then, if you're still enjoying our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga. And it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 7. Bye bye.
See you later. And we are recording, ladies and gentlemen. The waveforms are going at lightning fast speeds as they go around the corner. And look, he takes the lead!
Who took the lead?
I got bored. I don't know. I'm gonna go watch something else. Worst sports announcer ever.